So I believe that one of the board members said something about how maybe when you get a little bit older, you'll understand. I'm not sure if that is an exact quote or a paraphrase, but at that point I was sitting with Sharon Ponton, who is 62 and I am 46, and she and I linked arms and we walked down to the front of the room, and we stood with a lot of other people who were standing, and we stood with a lot of other people who were speaking, and we spoke with a lot of other people who were speaking, and at which point we were approached by police officers, which immediately surrounded the front of the stage and were asked to sit down. We sat down. The crowd erupted. There was a lot of talking, of chanting, of various and sundry statements being made aloud by I would guess about 3/4 of the room. I got through about 3 lines of my water protection proclamation. We, the people of the Commonwealth of Virginia, in order to provide for the commons and promote the general welfare, do ordain and establish. And I'm pretty sure they cut me off right around the word ordain. I was sitting down when I said this. I was speaking with a lot of other voices. They were speaking with me. Everything stopped, and at that point I was approached by a police officer and asked to leave the building, and I said, why do I need to leave the building? And he wanted to take me out the back. At that point I asked him if I could get my coat, which was in the front of the room, and he agreed. I went and got my coat. Several people followed us. Outside, I was approached by Lieutenant Jim Price, who is a negotiator of sorts. He had been more or less managing the crowd over the course of yesterday and today and last week for the MVP as well, and was informed by him that I had been asked to leave the premises, and yet I was also told that I was being detained, which was confusing, since being detained would mean that I couldn't leave, and I was being asked to leave. So I pointed out that, according to someone I spoke to yesterday, the state police were not allowed to ask anyone to leave or to be removed from the building unless there was an order from the board. So I asked if there was an order from the board, and he said he was not aware of that it was the state police that had asked me to leave, and that if I did not, I would be arrested. If I was not to voluntarily remove myself from the premises, then I would be subject to arrest. So at that point, I agreed to leave the premises. I asked if I should also get my vehicle off the premises, since I was parked in the Trinity Center parking lot. I was asked by Lieutenant Price at one point if we had a lease on the building across the street, which we reserved for these meetings so that we would have a room to eat and rest and charge our things. And I informed him, yes, we did have a lease. We still are the legal owners of this property until 4:30 this afternoon. And I left. I drove away. I came back to headquarters. I believe the decision was made about half an hour later. From what I understand, we won a vote. Last week it was 5-2. This week it was 4-3. The State Water Control Board lost their ability to make decisions for us today. We will form our own citizens board. We will make our own decision. We will issue our own proclamation. And if they force us to be self-governing, we will be self-governing, because we have a right and responsibility to govern ourselves when our elected officials and our appointed officials fail us.
Thank you.